Good morning. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. It is a pleasure to be able to use technology like a webinar to be able to speak directly to you, me from the comfort of my office in South Haven, Michigan, and you wherever you may be in maybe the den at home or your office somewhere. But we recognize that you as a prospective seller of real estate have choices, and it's a competitive world out there. And this is an opportunity for us to tell you a little bit about our company, United Country Michigan Lifestyle Properties and United Country Lake to Lake Realty, and how we're different, because we are different from other realty companies. And again, we recognize that you have a choice in who you do business with, and we'd like the opportunity to be your company of choice. So again, good morning. What I'd like to do first is start by introducing myself. And I'm sharing this in part so that you know who I am as I'm speaking with you, but also the headline of this I want to convey is that I am not a career real estate person. And I don't mean to say that as though that would be a negative thing. It's just a fact that I'm not. I spent a career in the financial services business, over 20 years with a company called American Express Financial Corp. It's now called Ameriprise. And I had the good fortune to be with that company during a very prosperous time for the company and for the U.S. and economy and stock markets. And so I was blessed and had a terrific career with them, and decided a number of years ago to leave and do something different. I'm a certified financial planner, and so I'm well versed in all areas of financial planning. I'm a Lake Michigan homeowner and have been since the late 90s. I have been and continue to be an active real estate investor. And in fact, it was in my experience investing in real estate that caused me to get my license. When I started investing, I was working with some real estate agents, a couple different individuals who were very good at what they did and do, and who I liked. But for a variety of reasons, it occurred to me that I would maybe to my advantage to have my license. So I got it. And that really set me on a course ultimately to start this company, Michigan Lifestyle Properties, in 2009. I never had the dream or the vision, so to speak, to start a company like this. In some ways, it evolved in part because I saw an opportunity, and it was something I'm very interested in terms of real estate in general. So again, the headline of this I want to convey is that I'm not a career real estate person. And because of that, I tend to look at, and we do as a company, look at the real estate business from a different perspective. I believe that in life, whether in our personal situation or when you look at companies or organizations, it's easy to get caught up in seeing things the way you've always seen them. And there can really be a benefit to look at things differently. So, because of my background, I believe again that I look at the real estate world differently than the traditional real estate companies, and we do as a company. So in 2009, I started Michigan Lifestyle Properties. We also do business as Lake to Lake Realty. We are a full service realty company. So we deal in all types of real estate, some commercial, but primarily residential and land. And in particular, we specialize in marketing what we call lifestyle properties, or I also call them non-traditional property types. The genesis of our company is a company called Gull Lake Realty. And in 2009, I bought Gull Lake Realty, a little boutique real estate company that specialized in Southwest Michigan lake property. Gull Lake, if you're not familiar with it, is easily one of the top 10 most popular lakes in the state of Michigan. It's located about 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes northeast of Kalamazoo in Southwest Michigan. And the individual who started Gull Lake Realty, a man by the name of Terry Carpenter, focused that company on what he regarded as the 10 most popular lakes in Southwest Michigan. He built a website that generated a large amount of traffic from people, primarily from Northwest Indiana, or I should say Northern Indiana and metropolitan Chicago, who were looking for lake property and gravitated toward the Gull Lake Realty site because it was oriented around lakes, learning about lakes, and then seeing what properties were for sale on those lakes. So I had the opportunity to meet Terry, bought Gull Lake Realty, and changed the name to Michigan Lifestyle Properties, again, also doing business as Lake to Lake Realty. Simultaneous to that, I had the good fortune to meet the folks from United Country Real Estate. United Country is a company started in 1925 that is based in Kansas City, and their heritage primarily going back in time was in bringing together buyers and sellers of farmland. And over the years, like lots of companies, they've evolved and their strategies have changed. United Country is still a major land broker in the country, in farmland, recreational land, and other types of land. But in addition to that, over the years, they have evolved into specializing in non-traditional properties or lifestyle properties. So it was a natural fit when I formed Michigan Lifestyle Properties to meet the folks from United Country. At present, United Country focuses on 30 what they call specialty property groups. And just to rattle through a few of those: country homes, desert property, duck hunting property, golf property, historic property, land for sale, lakefront property, log homes and cabins, mountain property, ranches, resort property, riverfront property. You get the idea. So what United Country recognizes is that these non-traditional or lifestyle property types are specific types of properties that require a different type of marketing, and for which buyers are really looking for an opportunity to find them easily. And so it's really an opportunity that United Country recognized to strategically align itself to bring together buyers and sellers of these lifestyle properties. So again, in 2009, when I formed Michigan Lifestyle Properties, I affiliated with United Country. And since that time, we are now United Country Lake to Lake Realty and United Country Michigan Lifestyle Properties. We do business primarily in West Michigan, but we also deal with buyers and sellers throughout the state of Michigan. What we know about the world of lifestyle properties is that folks who buy them, and I should back up and just say very quickly, these are the primary categories that we focus on at Michigan Lifestyle Properties: Lake Michigan property, waterfront, equine, hobby farms, land, country homes. Country home we would define as a residential property typically on 5 or more acres. Premier properties, which we would define, generally speaking, as a property with a market value over $1 million, although in some cases it may be less than that, and log homes. So these in the state of Michigan are the primary property types that we deal with. And what we recognize about these types of properties is that very often, in fact, I'd say a common denominator, not always true, but usually true, is that buyers of these types of properties come from out of town. Now, when I say out of town, really what I'm saying is that they come from a place different from where the property is located. In other words, they're probably not a local buyer. They could be a local buyer, but we find that, again, more times than not, they are from someplace other than where the property is located. We also know from our experience that these buyers know what they want, but they typically don't know where to look for it. They may have a general idea where they want to look for it, but more than where, they can pretty clearly describe what it is they want in terms of the property type, the type of environment they'd like it to be in, the type of memories they'd like to create when they get there. In other words, they have a vision for this, or they have in their mind's eye what the property looks like and feels like, but they don't always know where to look for it. The experience we have with these folks is that typically they define their search area in terms of travel time from where they live. Now, in this particular graphic, I just use as an example Chicago as the center point. And typically, again, from our experience, people who are looking for a non-traditional property type are looking within a travel time of 2 to 2.5 hours drive time from where they live. So if we use Chicago as an example, this would be the area, this blue area, where these folks would be willing to travel, and they're thinking, hey, we know what we're looking for, but unless they have a knowledge of an area, either from going someplace, with a family member or a neighbor or friend, typically they're pretty open to where they're looking. So again, these buyers are looking for properties someplace other than where they are. They define their area in terms of travel time, and they have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for. So we know from looking at the flip side of this, when we represent sellers of lifestyle properties, we know that it takes more than a sign in the yard and the MLS to sell special properties. What we find is that typically when a traditional local broker represents a non-traditional property type, they follow the steps they've always followed. They list the property in the local MLS. They use signage, and signage isn't a bad thing. In fact, the MLS isn't a bad thing. We use the MLS, and oftentimes we use signage as well. But it takes more than that. And then other time, also local brokers typically will upload a property to what I regard as a vanilla, generic real estate site like Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com. Again, that's not a bad thing. We use those sites too. But my point is, it takes more than that to sell a lifestyle property or a non-traditional property type. We know too, from our experience and from data, this is not surprising, that the vast majority of people used the internet when they search for real estate. According to the National Association of Realtors, just last year, 2014, 92% of buyers used the internet in their real estate search process. Again, that's not a surprise. We also know that more and more people are using handheld devices, tablets and smartphones. Now, when these folks, and I oftentimes think, just to generalize, back to this Chicago area example, I tend to think oftentimes of a couple. And the couple is maybe just finished dinner, and maybe they're having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, and they're dreaming about their future. And a lot of times our dreams involve real estate and family and memories, and these dreams for this couple, and it's easy for me to generalize like this because we've worked with lots of folks like I'm describing. They're dreaming, and they're dreaming perhaps of owning a hobby farm or a horse property or maybe a place on a lake. They may want to own a small country inn, whatever it may be. They have their dreams. They oftentimes have those dreams fairly well crystallized in terms of what they're looking for. And then we know that they'll use the internet to try to find that dream property. And typically they'll go to the computer, and they might start at a site like Zillow, which I referred to a moment ago. And with Zillow, the very first thing they're going to be asked on the homepage is to provide an address, a neighborhood, a city, or a zip. Well, unfortunately, these folks don't know that. All they know is really the distance that they're willing to travel to get to this dream property. So when they go to a site like Zillow, they're kind of faced with some immediate frustration. This would be the same if they went to Trulia, another popular real estate site. Search by neighborhood, city, zip, or address. So again, that might be frustrating for them. Realtor.com is the same: address, city, zip, neighborhood, or MLS number. They may go to a big national company like a Remax, which is going to ask the same question. In fact, it's interesting, if you look at these websites, they all pretty much have the same look. Naturally the graphics are different, and the colors and logos and whatnot, but the search field that these folks are faced immediately with is pretty much the same. The same at Century 21, the same at Coldwell Banker, and the same at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. So again, this couple, and again, we've dealt with lots of folks like this, and I can imagine this. You're dreaming and thinking about the future, and you're excited, and you go to the computer and you know what you're looking for, but you you do these standard searches and you think, oh gosh, we don't know the city, we don't know the town. We may know the state. If they're in Chicago, they may know that they want to come over to Southwest Michigan. But there are a lot of things about the geography that they don't know. So again, they're looking at this search area, but they don't know the answers to the questions that they're typically asked on these traditional sites. So it was really in that context, again, that I started Michigan Lifestyle Properties and affiliated with United Country Real Estate. This is our homepage, MichiganLifestyleProperties.com. We have an icon on the homepage for each of the primary property types that we deal with. Lake property, premier property, Lake Michigan, Michigan land, etc. You can see them there. And then from this site, when a person clicks on one of these icons, and I'll use the premier property site as an example, they are taken to a dedicated site, in this case for premier properties, and they can do searches specifically for premier property. So when they go to the search field on this Michigan Premier Properties site, they're able to search for premier properties in Michigan. They're not asked first for the geography type question, because we know that they don't typically know the answer to that. They're looking for a property. They have a price range, and then when they start there, then they can find out where that property is located. If they were looking on our log home site, they could do the same thing for log homes. If they were looking on our Lake Michigan site, they could do the same thing for Lake Michigan properties. If they were on our lake property site, they could do the same thing for lakefront homes and waterfront property. So we know from our history and our experience that for these folks who have defined their search area in travel time, this is extremely helpful. We have gotten ongoing, extremely favorable feedback from buyers who are looking for a non-traditional property type. Back to our affiliation with United Country Real Estate. United Country is the only national company that allows people to search by property type, front and center. So if you look at the unitedcountry.com webpage, on the right-hand side, folks can choose by property type and then do a national search for properties that are of that particular category. In terms of how people find us, because oftentimes people do Google searches. If they do a Google search, and I've given you some examples here, in this case, Michigan log homes for sale. Up at the top, you see that that search produced 10 million results. And of those 10 million, our websites occupy 3 of the top 10 sites, including number 1. So we know that if people are doing a search for log homes for sale in Michigan, that they will find us. Similarly, for country homes, this Michigan country homes for sale generates over 28 million results. Again, our sites occupy 3 of the top 10 spots. So again, we know that we'll be easily found. Horse property, very similar. Michigan horse property for sale generates almost 850,000 results. Our horse property site is the #1 rated site according to that search term. And then last example is Michigan Premier Property, generates over 37 million results, and our proprietary website is #2. So back to the couple in Chicago or Detroit or Fort Wayne or St. Louis or wherever they may be. We know that if they are looking for a property and they know what they're looking for, but not where it is, if they do a Google search, they will find us, and we will make it easy for them to find what they're looking for, that being their dream property. Back again to our affiliation with United Country, this graph shows the increase over time of the unique visitors to the United Country websites. The blue line at the bottom is specifically unitedcountry.com, which is the home site. The green line, which mimics the blue line but is higher, represents all of the United Country sites. And there are hundreds of United Country sites. And the aggregate of those sites generate over 3 million unique visitors per month. That is enormous. That is above and beyond what we're doing here locally in Michigan. with the Google searches and the Michigan lifestyle property sites that I showed just a moment ago. So this internet traffic, this is really one of the reasons we are so excited to be affiliated with United Country, because they do nationally and internationally what we do in the state of Michigan. This is a graphic that shows where United Country offices are in the United States. You see at the bottom two, Costa Rica and Panama. We've since expanded into Mexico and Canada and Australia. You know, what we're finding in today's world is the world is smaller. You know, buyers not only are using the internet, but they're oftentimes buying property not only in different states from where they are, but in different countries. So being affiliated with a international organization like United Country that specializes in lifestyle and non-traditional properties is a very, very important thing. United Country advertises specific real estate listings in print publications. Here are a number of examples. You can tell that they are targeted to specific buyer types. And I want to be clear, when I say that United Country advertises listings, I mean specific properties. Other large realty companies will advertise brand in publications, but United Country advertises specific property listings. So as an example, right in the middle there is a Victorian Homes magazine. Just as an example, we had not too long ago, one of our property listings here in Marshall, Michigan, was featured in Victorian Homes magazine. We've had properties in Mother Earth News, DuPont Registry, et cetera, and so that's a huge benefit. United Country publishes catalogs. The annual readership of these catalogs is over 1.5 million. Distribution is international. And again, this just increases exposure to our property listings when we're trying to sell special properties here in the state of Michigan. And then back to the internet, the United Country, again, focusing on the 30 different specialty property groups, has a dedicated website for each of those, making it easy for buyers to look nationally and internationally for a particular property type. So it's for a variety of reasons that we're very excited to be affiliated with United Country. We feel we are uniquely positioned in the state of Michigan to bring together buyers and sellers of these non-traditional property types. Again, we deal in all types of real estate, including what I would call traditional residential real estate. And traditional residential real estate typically is the home in a neighborhood or a condominium where the buyer is maybe looking locally because of employment reasons, or wanting to live in a particular school district, or upsizing or downsizing or whatever it may be. So we deal with that type of property. That typically is property that benefits the most from the MLS, which we do participate in, and using signage, which we do use. But for non-traditional or lifestyle properties, our value proposition is unique in the state of Michigan. So as it relates to you and your property, again, you are a prospective seller, and I have wanted to use this opportunity to share with you how we're different from other companies, and we'd welcome the opportunity to work with you. The next step in terms of your property is for us to discuss it specifically with you, and to visit your property and to get to know it and to get to know you. We then develop a marketing plan unique to your property. That marketing plan, one of the things we believe is that it's a collaboration. Certainly we bring lots of experience and ideas and history to the table, but we also know that you have good ideas as the property owner, and we like to collaborate and include those ideas. So we view the marketing plan as a collaborative process. After the listing agreement is signed, we arrange for photographs to be taken. We use professional photography. Typically, we produce floor plans. Sometimes we'll use aerial photography or aerial video. And then we go on to implement that marketing plan. Our philosophy is that we want to expose your property as far and wide as possible to the targeted audience that is most likely going to be interested in your property. That is what our objective is. And when we do that, we also believe that everyone is best served when we provide as much information about your property as possible. Floor plans, many photos, surveys, et cetera, et cetera. Ultimately, when someone comes to visit your property, we want to know that they are qualified to buy it, as well as interested enough to make the trip, because in many cases they're coming a distance. We want them to be interested enough and knowledgeable enough about the property to make the trip to see it. And we don't like to waste your time, their time, or our time. So that's our underlying philosophy as it relates to implementing our marketing plans. Naturally, we report our progress to you on an ongoing basis. Now, in terms of that first step of discussing your property, the next step for you, when the time is right, is to call our 800 number, 866-670-4100. When you dial that number, you will reach any one of these individuals. You'll see me again in the upper left, and then you'll see a number of agents. These folks, to a person, are professional, they're ethical, they're experienced, they're competent, they are good people. And that's important. I am proud to be associated with each and every one of them, and each and every one of them is capable and competent to help you. One of the things that we have in our organization, which is terrific, is what I would describe as a collegial environment, where everyone on this page here is willing to help each other. There are different specializations that different agents have, and to the extent that they can help each other to bring together buyers and sellers of special properties, then we do that. So again, 866-670-4100. When you dial that number, you'll speak with any of these folks, and any of them can help you. So again, I really appreciate your time. Again, repeating myself, I know we know that it's a competitive world out there. You have a choice. But not all real estate companies are equal or created equal. We approach the business differently than other real estate companies, and that is important for you to know. And so when you're making your choice as to which company you do business with, we would welcome the opportunity to be your company of choice. So again, thank you very much. If you have questions, please call us. And we look forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks very much. Goodbye.